navigation systems are down. I'm lost out at sea. Out at sea.
So here I am in sunny Bristol, and I'm about to meet a bloke who knows how much it costs to be saved.
Almost half of the competitors in the round-the-world race have struck some form of trouble in the 6 weeks since the race started. Today, 2 more yachtsmen put out an SOS, but their cry for help is even more serious than Raphael Donnelly's life-saving transfer to another yacht 10 days ago. This time, the Australian rescue authorities have dispatched the Air Force and the Navy to the southernmost point they've ever ventured in search of missing craft.
Tony Bullimore's boat, the Exide Challenger, capsized, and the majority of press and media reports assume that he was also lost. G'day, mate. How much is that today? $18.50. No worries, mate. Here's 20. You keep the change, eh?
Thanks a lot.
Cheers. The Royal Australian Navy launched a rescue mission for Bullimore and another competitor, Thierry Dubois. It would be one of the most expensive rescue missions in Australian history. G'day, Tony. How you going, mate?
Hey.
All right to come on down?
Yeah, come on board. I'll put the kettle on for a cuppa.
How you going, mate?
Hi.
How are you? Good to see you, mate.
Come on board. It's a bit chillier than Australia, isn't it?
Let's get that cuppa going, eh?
yeah, quick as you like.
Tony, what is it that you really love about sailing, mate?
Well, it's changed over the years, what I love. When I started sailing, it was about 50 years ago. I was in my early 20s, you know, and I grew up by the seaside, you know. But when I'm at the helm and the boat's doing 20, 25 knots and you've got the wind whistling through the rig and your hair's blowing all over the place on a really lovely day, it's exotic, you know, it's really fabulous. It just builds up my adrenaline and I really enjoy it. I also like the racing. I'm sort of competitive and I like to get out and go for a challenge or two, you know, records, that kind of thing. So there you are.
On that day in 1997, when did you realise that you were in trouble?
Well, I was running through big seas, you know, the winds were blowing up to steady 70, you know, like, and on a 60-foot open class 60 monohull with twin wing masts, you don't really need those kind of conditions. You know, if you've got 35, 40 knots of breeze, that's enough to push you through the seas. And when it's getting up to 70, 75 knots, gusting 100 mile an hour at one point, it's really, you know, phenomenal conditions. But when I knew I was in trouble was when I had a big crack, and I didn't know what it was, but the boat instantly rolled over, you know, it capsized, and I'm saying, come on, old girl, up you get, and she never got up.
When Bullimore's yacht capsized, an emergency beacon was thrown into the water and automatically activated, alerting rescuers within minutes to his position. First evidence that the solo sailor was alive came when he turned another beacon on manually from inside the yacht. Experts believe there was air for about 6 days in the upturned craft, but Bullimore's main concern was keeping out of the freezing water, spending his time in a makeshift hammock curled in a ball to keep warm.
The boat wasn't coming up right, so I had to start thinking survival, where do I go from here? I'm 1,500 miles from Australia, I'm a few hundred miles from Antarctica, I'm way off the shipping lanes. This was all churning around in my mind. I can't do anything at the moment. I'm in the middle of a raging storm. The seas are pounding the boat, rolling over the top, winds are whistling. All I could do was settle down quietly and wait for the storm to go through to get off the boat and get to dry land. Impossible.
So, Tony, what was the lowest moment of being stuck in the hull of your yacht?
Well, it was probably after 4 days. After 4 days in the water, you know, I'm sort of giving up, feeling hungry. You know, I was hungry, had very little water. I was freezing cold. The seas were just whamming against the side of the boat. The boat's pitching and rolling. I'm standing there with the water rushing over me 1 minute, and then the next minute, you know, I've got my head above the water, everything's okay. You know, I ripped the end of my finger off, you know, doing something on the boat. And I started measuring up how long more have I got to live, and I thought, well, a day, day and a half, my body temperature's going to drop down eventually, you know, below danger level, and, you know, that's it, I'm finished.
And skipper Tony Bullimore has adjusted distress beacons without being visible to the aircraft above him. Pilots hope to discover what condition the men are in by flying low.
The one thing that I decided that I wasn't going to go down with the boat, and I wasn't going to, you know, sort of, you know, die in the boat. I was determined to get up to the surface if it all went really wrong, and just float around, you know, for maybe 5-10 minutes, looking up at the sky and the clouds and saying, well, that's it, I've had a good life, and you know, this is the end. You know, what a way to go. You know, here I am in the middle of the Southern Ocean, slowly fading away. My wife's at home, no doubt panicking and wondering what's going on. It was very, very depressing. You know, I always thought that we'd be together at the end. It wasn't going to happen. Just felt pretty horrible, you know, pretty lonely and sort of, yeah, not very nice.
Expecting the sea state to be around a 4 or 5, which probably means these guys are going to get bobbed around a fair bit, and that's going to make life pretty hard for them down there.
100 nautical mile journey to the stricken yachts and their skippers is expected to take 3 days. The use of a Navy frigate bound for the search area and round-the-clock flights by Orion aircraft from Perth means the cost of locating and rescuing the 2 sailors is soaring into the millions. But the government is unconcerned about money.
Our obligation here is to honour our commitment under that treaty and to rescue the lives of these 2 men who are at risk.
Meanwhile, race organisers appear more than happy with
So
existing
when
maritime rescue
your yacht was upside down and you were inside the hull, how good did it feel to hear the knocking on the hull?
Well, it was fantastic. I mean, I was laying on this little weeny bit of netting, then I heard this knocking on the side of the hull, and my ears pricked, you know, like a desert rat, you know, what is it? And I sort of jumped to the side of the boat rapidly, put my ear against the side of the boat, and I could actually hear people shouting, you know, and talking. So I got out very, very quick, dived down through the hole in the bottom of the boat, went down a few feet, and then went up to the surface, boat surface. Right in front of me was the Adelaide, the warship, you know, and a big grin come over my face, and I said, God, I've been saved, you know. I was utterly amazed.
When I dived out and come out of the water and looked over at the Adelaide, I could only get a tremendous ecstasy that I was looking at life. I was actually looking at a picture of what life was all about, that I was saved.
Got to be honest, I've been in some situations in my life before which I could tell you about, but this was the hardest.
How does that make you feel about the value of your life, what they did for you?
It makes me feel fantastic that my life is worth something, and the very fact that Australia put on such an amazing rescue, you know, that organised everything, ships and planes and rescue services, all this was laid on to save my life, and it made me feel pretty good that here we are, you know, in this complicated world that we live in, and you know, people and countries like Australia prepared to go to such an extreme to save my life. It makes me feel, yeah, I'm worth something anyway.
For the Bullimore family in Bristol, news of the rescue came by satellite telephone in the early hours of the morning.
Hug and kiss and run and shout. You're wonderful. Open a bottle of champagne and drink, and we shout and we scream and we say, he's alive, he's alive. Wonderful.
And so the highest moment of being saved?
We went down to this fish and chip shop in Fremantle, fantastic. It was the only fish and chip shop where you can get thin, medium or thick chips, crispy and every kind of fish you could imagine. And we were munching away at it, really enjoying, you know, the day, and a few people come over and stood there looking, and it was really quite amazing. They started singing, you know, Rolf Harris's Two Little Boys. And, you know, you talk about making your fish and chips wet. When they started saying, you know, do you think we would leave you dying, you know, really says it all.